everyone. I'm here just to talk a little bit about Think Up Math and how to best utilize it in your classroom as a resource. And the first thing I want to talk about is checking for alignment. I'm looking at TEK, 5.3D, which is the representation of multiplication of decimals with products to the hundredths using objects and pictorial models, including area models. So I've looked through, and what's great is every single question has a model with it. It's an aligned model, which is great, and we're only going to products of the hundredths throughout this. As you can see, okay, yes, some of the answer choices go to the thousands, but they're not the correct ones, so don't worry about that. So looking at this, we are aligned with the TEK, and I'm also love to start by backwards designing from STAR test questions as well. And so here's one release question. It's from 2015. The thing with this TEK is there's so many different models. You're really going to spend multiple days on this because you've got more than one model that could represent it. So I'm going to start with this one here, looking at this question and looking at number 3 here. It sure looks super similar to number 2 right here. And the big thing with these questions are you don't want to just assign students an entire worksheet and say, okay, I want you to do page 71 and 72 and then turn it in for a grade. It's going to take them forever because these are difficult. A lot of these are harder than STAR test questions. So we really need to look at that and make sure we're not pushing our students to think too far by themselves. These are great questions, though. I don't want to say don't use them, but we need to be utilizing these questions in the right way. And the best way to do that is really modeling. I'm going to model number 3 for my students, show them how to think through this whole thing, ask them questions, work it out, show them all the strategies that they need to do on this type of question. And then we're going to go to number 2, and I will have them work on this one independently on their own, and I will be walking around and monitoring and assessing how are they doing, okay? For example, if I was to do this question first, I would talk to them about labeling their model vertically and horizontally. So looking at this going across, I would have them label that this is 8/10 or 80 hundredths going across horizontally, and then going vertically up and down, I would have them label that it's 7/10 or 70 hundredths, and really and truly they need to be able to convert it back and forth either way. And then I would have them circle the darker area where it overlaps, which is our product, and label that as well. And there's 56 little pieces shaded, so I would have them write that as a decimal as 56 hundredths. And hey, if you want to have them go further and write it as a fraction too, that's up to you. But since it is representing the multiplication of decimals, just, throwing that out there, I would probably just keep it at decimals for this point to stay aligned with my TEK. Now, so from there, then obviously, automatically we could take out A and D, just if they only labeled the product. Let's just talk about if they're really, stressing out about vertically, horizontally, if they even just did the strategy of labeling the product, hey, at least they could take A and D out. And then going from there, we got to really look and think through this question. How do we label vertically? We labeled 7/10 or 70 hundredths. Well, right here, this is 7 hundredths. So right then and there, they should be able to quickly, if they had done the strategy, to eliminate that and take it out. The 80 is correct, which is awesome. And then here, as we can see, 7/10 and 8/10 equals 56 hundredths would be our correct factors and product as well. So just looking at that, now I'm going to go to this question. And as I'm aggressively monitoring, walking around while the students are doing this one independently, I'm going to be looking to see, can they label all the pieces? If not, I know exactly where to start with these kiddos on that. Then from there, can they go through and eliminate based on what they've done up here? So we've got multiple ways to look at that when we're monitoring our students' progress. Also, let's talk about if I was going to grade this question, this wouldn't just be a single check or X. And really and truly, when we're looking at Think Up Math, we really truly only need to give them a few problems and we can get a grade from that easily. Okay, it's going to save you time because you don't have enough class time for them to do a whole page a lot of the times. Let's be honest, let's be real, but we still need grades. Let's do it in a more creative way that promotes Oh my gosh, I'm stuck for a second. A growth mindset, sorry guys, having a moment here, promotes growth mindset to where maybe the babies can't do everything, but if they can even label part of it, even if they can just count the little shaded boxes here, at least they're getting some credit instead of just getting the whole thing incorrect. So talking about grading, I could give them points for labeling going horizontally across. I could give them points for labeling vertically up and down. I could also give them points for labeling the product as well, and then I could give them points for selecting the correct answer. So that right there, ooh, look at that shiny nail, and that right there would be 4 questions within 1 question, if that makes sense. So really and truly, if I could find 2 more questions that are similar to this one or whatever, I would have more than 10 questions just from a few of these. So it's thinking creatively, saves you time, helps the kids not to stress out, and stay focused and spend more time on a couple questions and actually do the strategies we want them to do. This is a way, guys, to get them to do those strategies. So really and truly, I'm telling you, it's a win-win. Also, just looking at this teak as well, there's so many different representations, obviously. And so going back to backwards design, looking at from 2016, we can see they use base 10 blocks, and in this case, they had the 10 rod as one whole. Well, looky here, we got one super similar. It makes me so happy seeing this. And so really and truly, another great strategy for these babies is bust out these designated supports. Don't forget about the designated supports. They are here to help them. They are allowed on STAR. And if I just didn't even look at the answer choices here, I just looked at basically they want to represent the 10 rod as one whole, and then which model could they use for 2 times 1 2/10. So if they know this is their whole, they can bust out their holes, their base 10 blocks, and then make the connection that they just need 2 1 2/10. We're going to do our repeated addition over here. They could build the model on their own, and then they could go look to see which representation matches. So once again, don't forget about these designated supports and still tying them into Think Up Math. They flow beautifully. Push them. You know, those students that need them to be successful, let them use them, please, please, please. And really, very quickly, if they built it, then they could see which one it would be, which would be G. And then you could even let them circle them with expo markers, all that good stuff. And really and truly, looking at grading again, you could have them label each one to prove why it is G. So many different things you could do when it comes to grading. And that one will be a fun one to see how they interpret that one, because each one of these is 10. So that'd be very interesting to see how they represented that. Sorry, I'm getting off topic just a little bit. A few more things to look at is just what else is available for Think Up. We have our vocabulary mastery. This is really good if you're just wanting to do a menu. It's great for menus, something they can do independently on their own. There is a concept exploration, so this can be your explore, but really and truly make sure you're busting out those manipulatives whenever possible with these activities. Don't just do the worksheet, let them represent it, and it will go far, and they will make those connections so much better. Also, I'm looking for one more thing. Sorry, guys. There's also Motivation Station. These are fun. They're usually quick, easy setup, not a lot of prep, which is awesome. You can tear some out and laminate them as well, and it can be a station that you spiral back through to spiral that teak. Tons of great stuff going on here, guys. When it comes to homework, please, please be careful giving this as homework. I don't even think it says homework anymore. When it was motivation, it said homework. I think they've even taken that out. But be careful when you give this for homework, because as I said, a lot of this is even harder than STAR. And if these babies are struggling with it in your class, think about them struggling with it when they're home by themselves doing it. Not all of our students get help at home, or they get too much help and their parents just do it for them. So we really want to try and level the playing field when it comes to homework. Dreambox is an excellent choice if you would like any help with that and getting ideas for how you could utilize it for homework. Jillian or myself would love to help you with that. Just reach out to us. But just be careful in giving how you give these questions and when you give these questions. These are amazing questions that are going to help our students be successful on STAR because of the level of the rigor that they are. We just need to do it in the appropriate way, if that makes sense. So I hope this was helpful and useful. If you have any other questions, please reach out to Jillian or myself. Also, don't forget about the amazing teacher edition. There's great formative assessments in here and interventions. It's really, really awesome. Don't forget to utilize this as well in conjunction with your student edition. So I hope you all have a great rest of the day, and we're here to help support you in any way possible with Think Up Math.